Okay, we're going to get started now. So we've got Chris Blair as well here, who is our New Zealand Cloud A2K representative. So I'll just allow him to do a little bit of an introduction.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Hi everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your day today to have a look at Bluebeam and some wonderful features. I'm sure Ben's going to surprise us all with some of the things that we can do inside Bluebeam. Just a quick weather report from Auckland. It's overcast and windy, and I hope wherever you are in New Zealand, you're safe and well. So apart from the fantastic Lego prize we have today, we can provide you with lots and lots of wonderful things. I'm the quoting guy, I'm the sales guy. So if you need anything Bluebeam related, please drop me a line, drop me a phone call or an email, and I'm sure that we can help out. So Ben, over to you, mate. Thank you, and let's get this underway.
Yep. Thank you, Chris. Yes, so I'll just go through a little bit of housekeeping just with our Zoom presentation. So we do have a Q&A questionnaire. So if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat or the Q&A system through there. I will give an opportunity at the end for anyone who does want to ask any questions as well. If you just use the raise your hand feature, I can then allow you to unmute and ask a question at the end if you choose to. Okay, yep, so just going into some of our PowerPoint. So it's not death by PowerPoint, there is only a couple of slides. Again, we're very thankful of your time and are aware of the time pressures that a lot of people are under. So this review demonstration, it's going to be done in Review 20, which has just been released a couple of months ago, and it's the best-in-class markup technology. I don't usually like to say there's a prize at the end, but there is a prize at the end. So one of you lucky attendees will get a Lego Creator Manchester United set. So there is no test at the end. It will just be selected randomly. Yes, so there is a prize at the end. If you could, just with that prize, it would be great for our marketing team if you could take a photo of yourself with the prize when you receive it and send it through to our team. That would be appreciated. Thank you. Just a bit of a rough agenda. So I'm going to focus this one on using images in Bluebeam. A lot of companies don't do it so much. It's great to do for sort of facade work, which I'll be doing today, and like rectification. And if you have an image in, how you can actually start to get dimensions off an image. So it's a great feature. If you are using it for dimensions, obviously the most straight on you can get, or the most perpendicular sort of view, is obviously the best for getting those images out and measuring up accurately. We're going to go through just some simple markup tools and how to create hyperlinks and how we can basically have a fully hyperlinked up image where you can have all your details and all that in the image itself. And then, so I'll basically walk you through that, and then I'll show how to set that up. We'll have some time for questions at the end, and I might show a 3D PDF as well, depending for time. Just a little bit about us. We're a company which delivers software and hardware, mainly in all the AEC field, infrastructure and manufacturing sectors. Just a little bit about myself. I'm Ben Burns. I've got a structural engineering associate diploma. I've been in the industry for over 25 years. I've worked at a lot of tier 1, mid-tier and smaller consultancies. So doing everything from a 40-story large commercial development to simple portal frames and small residential unit blocks. So I have quite a varied experience. I've been using Bluebeam since 2014. I'm also on LinkedIn if you did want to have a look and check my profile. A little bit about Bluebeam. So Bluebeam was founded in 2002. It has over 1.6 million users around the globe. It has become the industry markup PDF tool of choice. So it's and it is specifically designed for the construction and AEC industry. That's our basic interface. I won't go in through this too much. We've got the properties toolbar at the top, your panel access generally on the left, markups list, etc. down the bottom. You can customize your profile, toolbars, etc. The power of the PDF, it doesn't just include drawings, so we can have all the metadata in there, which is particularly useful for 3D PDFs. You can do hyperlinks, bookmarks, images, which we'll show a lot today, and 3D data. And now we're going to get into our live demonstration in Revu 20. So this is the one I'm going to be using. This is in Revu 20, so it does have a couple of extra features compared to the old ones. I can close my panel access just by selecting the different items through here. So just to talk through what I've done with this, what I've done here is I've just basically brought in an image on a blank sheet. I've then flattened that, and I've used that to then calibrate this sheet to a particular scale. And then I can actually take measurements off this. So now that I have it calibrated, like we can see that this facade, it is quite front on. So you can see there's a little bit of sort of parallax error when you look at the windows. So you're getting where it's, but it's quite front on. So you can take reliable dimensions off this. So if I go to my length here, I can get the width of these columns pretty much exactly. So that's, I'll do that again. That's probably closer to like 750 millimeters if I did that dimension exactly on the face of the item. So you're looking at 700 mils there. So you can get those accurate dimensions off. I've also put a lot of markups around here and gone through and basically added them in. So I've done here like a note on this area and how to take a mold and cast that in the notes. So I've done these as Cloud Plus markups. So that's by using the one item here on Cloud Plus, and all these toolbars, they are all found as well in your menu at the top here. So all of these items do have under that Cloud Plus. If I went under Tools and Markup, you would see that there's a Cloud Plus here. The shortcut for that one is K. So you can see that there are a lot of shortcuts as well. So as you become more fluent in Bluebeam, you do find that you're using these shortcuts quite a lot. So once you do a markup, if I just choose a simple Cloud Plus now, so I'll find it through my toolbar, and I can do a simple cloud and then call it up. I can say that that's lightning rod to be added. As I add these items in, what you will find is that's just done the typical sort of red cloud with that type of text. I can change all these items through the properties here at the top. If I wanted to simply match that to one I had done before, we can use an item which is the Format Painter. So if I select this one here, I can right click and I can use Format Painter to then paint that appearance to this markup. And that will now have that same text, the same cloud with the fill inside it. If I wanted to make that a little bit easier, even for people who are quite new to Bluebeam, what I can do is I can actually add this into my tool chest. So if I select that markup now, and I can add this in just by coming here and adding to tool chests. And I'm going to add that to my markup standard A2K tool chest. Now, if I access that through here, we'll see that it's added that in this note exactly. So if I replicate that, that will give me that exact same note. So I've got the same cloud, the same leader, the same text, etc. If I do want to use this more as a basis to do those other markups, I can come into the markup that I've added into the tool chest. And I can right click in here and I can actually change that to a properties mode. I can also do this by double clicking on the icon itself. So once I do that, we can see there it's changed that icon a little bit, and it's actually giving me all the properties of that, but being on a new style of markup. So I can change the size of the cloud and have that text there, and obviously and have that in, and it's got the formats of that text. So that is quite simple, and it's a good way to be able to standardize your markups throughout your company. So you don't have people having to come in and then go to their Cloud Plus and get those settings in there. They can come simply to their tool chest and grab these markups straight away, and they will have the right settings. So it's quite a good way to standardize your markups throughout your company. What I've done as well, I have done some sketch to scaling. So I've taken an area here. So you can take an area through this, and then you can basically get out that square meterage. So if I went to my area, because I have this already calibrated, it will get that size off. So I can get an area of that sort of rough window and hit enter. And then it's given me that square meterage. If I wanted to get like the widths and heights as well with an area, it's quite simple to select it. And then come in here to this icon to show the segment values. So if I do that, you'll then get it's 2 meters across and approximately 3.5 meters up for that area. You can then add a note to that accordingly. In Revu 20, you can actually add leaders to markups as well. So it's a new feature that you weren't able to do before. So I could use my format painter again to grab that one, right click and go to format painter and paste that to this area here. And I could also add a leader to this call out by selecting that and again, right clicking and now go to add leader. And I can add a leader from that to this point and it will get that straight off. That will go to the nearest point as well. You can see as I go around, it's going to the nearest available point in that on that text box. So I've taken some dimensions here where I've just got the width of those areas. So I've got the width of that entry area. I've also put a little title block on it, and I have put a stamp in. So these stamps, I'll apply a new stamp as well. So you can basically customize these stamps as you want. So I've got a preliminary stamp, I can have a review stamp, or I can have my watermark, etc. So I might just use a full review stamp now. And if I use that and place that here, you will see that that's grabbed our date and time as well. So they're a great stamp where they're just getting some data out of the actual drawings themselves. This text here, this has actually been flattened. You will see that I can't select that because I have placed it and flattened that to the drawing. So a lot of these markups you can see through here, I can select them all. I won't go to that stage yet. So I can select all these where I can't actually select this one because I've flattened that to the sheet. I can edit text inside a PDF document. So if I went in through here to my edit and went into my PDF content, I can edit the text of the PDF. So if I select through here, I'll see through here and I can change that date. And change that to the 9th. And I think it's about the 18th, isn't it? Or 17th. So you can change that data, even though it's part of the flattened PDF, you can change the content of that elements. I've also used some layers as well. So what you can see here is I've actually called up a new storefront in this area. We can at the moment see that it's quite busy. I've taken a couple of dimensions off here and a dimension at the top. I've also put in like some plywood panels, which are to scale. So I've scaled them up properly and I can simply reuse them. And I've actually drawn a new storefront over the top. So it's quite busy. What I have done is used layers. So very much for those people that are familiar with AutoCAD layers, there are layers that you can utilize in a PDF. So if I come here to my layers, I can see I've got a couple of layers set up. So I've got one for defects, which they're all turned on at the moment. I can see there's a little eye in there. So if I turn all these off, you will lose all those, all those markups. So I can see here, I've just got my new storefront called up. And then for the people that are interested in the hoarding, I've got the rough dimensions here of that, or the accurate dimensions of that storefront. I can provide this to my hoarding provider and say that they are the panels that they'll need. So we've got a lot of plywood panels in here. These all came in as markups as well. So if I did go to my markups in here, I can come down to my plywood markups. And if I select on that, that will take me to it. And I can see I've got all these rectangle sketches to scale, which are my, basically my hoarding. So I can come through there and do a basic count off. And I know that I've got those plywood panels, which are my typical 12 meter by 1.2 meter by, yeah, I don't know what I actually size them in as, 6 meter in length. So, yep. Yeah, I've also put an infill panel across here. So I've gone, well, we're going to need some custom sort of panel to make up that area. And I can tell that I need 3 square meters with a length of about 19 linear meters all up for that area. So that was my hoarding layout. I can then change that to actually be the new storefront. So this will be the hoarding that they'll have up while they're demolishing that storefront, which I can then turn off and actually turn on my new storefront. So now I can see that I've got a couple of awnings here. So I've as well put that text in with the new storefront. You can see how those markups are part of that layer. So I've got my premium bullnose awnings, weatherproof fabric, etc., with this exposed steelwork frame. And I've got here my timber frame cement rendered columns to match and replicate the existing facade. So I've got all that in there through my markups. If I did want to change anything to that layer, so we can see as well, if I turn that on and off, I could add this element to that to be part of that sort of scope of works for the new storefront. So if I did, it's just a matter of selecting it, right clicking, and what I can do is come in here to the layers, and that's where I can then put that on my new storefront layer. And then that becomes part of that markup. So you can see through there how that's adding in. If you did want to create a new layer, it's quite simple as well to just come in here and go to add new layer. So you can add it before, after, or add a child as well, which becomes part of that layer. So if I went here to my storefront, added a child to that storefront layer and called this, I might call that like parapet. And that's it. And then I can actually change this again. So I'll change the layer of this to my parapet layer. And you'll see that that's actually become a child of that storefront layer. So what that means is if I turn off my storefront, it turns off. But if I come into my storefront layer, then I can actually turn off that child layer of that storefront, which will turn off that markup. So you've sort of got layers inside layers. It's quite a good thing to use if your drawing's getting too busy. Always keep in mind, you can always turn off your markups. So if you do come to your markups down the bottom here, you can select not to see your markups and just hide them. So if I hid all the markups on this sheet, you'd see that it suddenly becomes your blank drawing again. I've also attached some images and hyperlinked them in. So if I look here, I've got a capital detail on that. I can tell that I've hyperlinked it because I do have that little lightning bolt. So if I select on that lightning bolt now, that will actually take me to my detail of that capital. So I can come in, I can see I've got all my measurements of it, which was a separate drawing. This drawing is, if I go to my thumbnails here, I can actually see that this drawing is part of my set. I've just hyperlinked it through there to go to that drawing. I've also put some defects in. So I've done this sort of a bit of a site rectification project. So if I go to these, again, I have put these on a layer. So if I go to my layers, I've got my sort of site defects, and you'll see how that's controlling the visibility of these items. So now if I again select on my lightning bolt, this will take me to an external image of that defect. This is pointing to a simple JPEG. I could get this to actually point to a separate PDF, which may contain an image and some text and items as well, but I've got that just simply pointing to a JPEG, which is stored on my C drive. I have another one here, which is taking me to a defect there. And another one for the sort of faux column here. So it's a great way to sort of start to really add that metadata in and to get these PDFs to work for you and have it basically as your one source of truth. So this one drawing, I can constantly keep it updated and constantly keep the current up-to-date information in it. What I've also done is I have added on a bar scale. So I've done this to scale. So if I do a measurement just to double check it, if I go from my 1 point, again, I can see that I'm getting those snaps there. So that's just to make sure you are snapping to your markup. If I had that off, I would see that I wouldn't be able to actually snap to those points. So you can see if I have at the bottom, my snap to markup selected on, then it's actually picking up those grips. And you can see I might be a little bit out there, but yep, it's 5 meters. What I've also done as well is I've also hyperlinked these areas to like the application form for this facade work and also to the scheme information. So if I select on that, very similar to how I did the hyperlinks here, but with these, what I did is I actually selected the item and then I've right-clicked and gone into edit the action. And when I edit the action, I can then either get that to jump through to a hyperlink, get that to jump to a page, or get that to actually open a different document. With these ones here, I have hyperlinked them. So if I select on our Cloud A2K logo, that will automatically take you to our Cloud A2K website. So it's great to have that information in. You can have your contact details in there and basically have that as a simple hyperlink. With these ones, the way I've created these ones is actually through my tools. and my hyperlink feature. So what this allows, if I select that, I can see I've got the 3 hyperlinks there. I can actually hyperlink, for instance, if I wanted to select the facade or something, or who checked it, I could again just hyperlink that area. And then I could actually get that to jump to a specific hyperlink. So I could get that to jump to, trying to think of a website, maybe just Google. And now that that's linked that area, you'll see when I drag my cursor over that area, I will get the little finger. So I can select that, which will then hyperlink me to the Google site. So what I've done with these ones is I've actually selected them to go to my PDF. So here I've got the scheme information. So if I select that, that takes me to basically the scheme information for this facade package. So I can go in through here and actually check the actual whole scheme itself and to see what's allowed as part of the works. So I've got all that information basically at my fingertips. So I can go through and check the terms and conditions, etc., and the eligibility criteria. I've then also got the application form itself linked as well. So if I select on this application form, this opens up the actual application form for the facade scheme. We can put in all our details, so this works as a normal form. I also have the ability as well to sign this documentation. So it does have a digital signature inbuilt. So if I select on the signature here, you can see it's got a little red flag on it. And you'll see when I hover on it, it goes to the little signature icon. So if I select that, I can put in my password, which I'll try not to verbalize in front of everyone, and log in. And then that actually gives me my digital signature, which I've set up. So if I OK, what this will do is it actually saves that as basically a verified copy. So I'll save this to my computer. Just saving that to my desktop, and I'll just put signed at the end of this. And now I can see that it's put that digital signature in there. So it's got that I signed it, digitally signed, it's got my date and time, etc. And it's got a few identifying features through there. So that has signed it as a certified document. If I go to the signatures through here on the panel access, you'll see that it's basically tracked with that signature. It has sealed this document. So it's sort of put on it. I've got an authority there from myself. You can go through and see the information, the certificate information, the details, and my certification path. It's got that it was last checked, how it was signed, etc. So as soon as I make any revision to this, so if I come in here now and put a different contact's name, so this will now update that document. So I can sign it through there, and I can actually certify this as well and make it that it won't, that you can validate it and have all that as well. Yes, so to set this up as a bit of an image one, so this is one I've obviously set up before. So now I'll just go through a bit of a basic example on how to set it up. So I will basically do this a little bit from scratch. So I'm going to go to File and create a new PDF. I'm not going to use a template. I'm just going to create a new PDF. You'll come in here with these settings. So you can change all your size through here. You've got a lot of the ISO sizes. You can add in or customize sizes as well. I'm going to use an ISO A3. You can have that as portrait or landscape as well. You can also put a grid system in behind it. So if you did want to have like a light grid behind it, you can, or have it as a notebook. I'm just going to have it as blank and just put in one page. So this has set up my new document. To add an image, there are a few different ways to do it. You can come through your image, and image is a markup as well. So if you go under tools and markup, you will see image under here. And you can grab it from a file, you can crop the image or grab it from a camera or scanner, etc. You can also drag and drop. So if I did come to, I do have my pictures over here. I'll just grab my picture and then simply drag that onto my sheet, which I'll drop it on. You can see that the size itself is a little bit out. So that's actually brought the drawing into the, it's opened that up. If I did want to actually drag that onto the drawing, the best way is to go through image and just select it. Remember where I am. So I can then size that to however I want it to appear. At the moment, the scale itself isn't important. It's just a matter of sizing it properly onto the sheet, and then I can calibrate that. So I've basically got my image on the sheet now. It's probably a good time to save it so I don't lose it. So I'm just going to go to File and Save As. Save that to my computer and save it under here as New Facade. So now I've got that in my drawing and I'm ready to start marking it up and to doing my documents. At this point, it's probably a good idea to flatten this image to the sheet. So you can see at the moment, if I do select it, I can drag it around, remove it, etc. I'm happy with the position. I just want to leave it as that. So what I'm now going to do is actually select the image markup, right click and go to flatten. And that will now flatten that to my document. So I can't select it anymore and it's actually part of the document. As well, I'm going to paste on my text as well. So I've got my little title block there. So what I can do is I can actually take a snapshot of this. So I do have one on the previous drawing I've created. So I'm going to use my snapshot, which is G. The hotkey as well is G. And I can do basically a snapshot around that text box. So you could have this as your revision box, etc. Let me just do that again. I did hit the wrong button and added a flag instead. So I will do a snapshot. I just zoom in a bit so I can get basically just around the border, just have that as close to the border as I can and grab that. Now I can again paste that onto my sheet. So if I just go Control V to paste it, it will paste that in. And that is my logo. Again, I could choose to flatten that. Because that's a markup itself, I can't actually edit the text in it. So what I'm going to do is to flatten that. And once I have that flattened, again, it's part of the sheet now. So if I did want to change the text in it, I could come to my edit again, edit the actual content of the PDF and come into here and edit text. And have that in, change the date, etc. So now I've got that in as well. And what that's done as well is because I've pasted that in as a item, if I go to my tool chest, what I'll see here is the recent tools I've used. So I've got my image there. I've got the dimensions I did. I have all my markups, all the items that I've done so far. So what I can do again is to grab this snapshot here and I can actually drag that down into my tool chest. So now I've got that logo that I can replicate on any drawing I choose and put those in. I'll take them both out just for a moment. I'll take that one out as well. So it's quite simple to delete those out as well. What I'll do now is actually calibrate the drawing. So if I go and do any dimension of anything, it's not going to give me a proper dimension. So if I come in here and go, I want to basically get the width of that window, I'll come into my length. I'll go in under my tools and measure and grab that length. To get it to go straight, it's just a matter of holding the shift button down. If you don't hold shift, you can see it will pan around. So if you hold shift, you can get that exact horizontal dimension. You'll see straight away it's come up, and it comes up with, I don't know what it is because I don't have a scale set. So what we're going to do now is actually calibrate it. So because this is an image, what I want to do is actually try and find a dimension that I know. So because it's an image, it is a little bit difficult. So I'm going to calibrate this now. If you did have like a standard door, you could use a 210. Because these are commercial doors, I'm not 100% sure on what those heights are. If you did know what the radius of a wheel was, you could probably use that as well. One thing that I'm pretty confident in, and I do have reasonable experience in, is with people. So I know that the average person is about 1.7, 1.75 high. And I probably know that this column, they've actually worked out to be a particular height. So I'm going to put in a pretty good accurate guess that from that her foot or from the bottom of this column, if I go up vertically, that would be about 1800 millimeters. Not 18,000. So now that I've set that in, I can apply that scale. And now I can see that that's going to give me some accurate dimensions. So again, it is only as good as the data that you want to put in. But with images, it's obviously a little bit of a black art. That is why some people do have, like if they're going to take, like if you went to a job and you were going to take a photo of a site, sometimes it's a good idea just to have like a meter high stick or a rod, which you can basically lean against the column. And then you know that that stick that you put there before you took the photo is 1 meter high. So you can use that to calibrate your drawings or your images. Then it's just a matter of marking up as we did before. So you have your call outs. Again, you can go through the standard settings and change this to exactly what you want. You can put your text box on as well. Change the color of your text boxes, etc. So change your line, put a fill on, etc. So I could make that a blue box with a blue text and basically make them from scratch, or you can go back and start to use your tool set. With these items as well, one of the new features in 20 is that you can auto size. So you could always auto size the text, but what you'll find that it's a little bit smarter now. So you'll find if I auto size that text, instead of just keeping that text on the one line, it is quite smart enough now to sort of go to 2, 3, or 4 lines, where you can change it accordingly. So what I like to do is to get it to basically how big I want it to be. And then I take off my auto size, and that will give me the actual size of the text. And then I can go, okay, well, I want that to be 15 millimeters. just because I do have a drafting background and I do get a bit pedantic. So yep, that's dealing with images. If I did want to hyperlink to an image, again, I'll just do a quick hyperlink. So I can hyperlink an area. The thing is with doing the hyperlink, it does sort of leave that like as a rough item. So if I hyperlinked that and pointed that to my image, the one thing is you can't really see hyperlinks. So you can see there, I can't even tell that that's got a hyperlink on it. The only way I know is that when I go and hover over it, I will get the finger. Oh, not yes, the the pointer, and select that, and that will take me to the image. So what I prefer to do is to actually put a bit of a markup on it and then edit the action of that markup. So if I come to a cloud, for instance, I can put a cloud over this capital there, select that, and then right click and edit my action. So then I can edit the action here and have that going to my image. And then you could, so you know that it's hyperlinked because it's got that little lightning rod. You could make it that everything I want imaged, I want to make sure I have a fill on it. So you could sort of make sure that every time you did a hyperlink that you had a particular background or something, and then you know straight away that that has an action to it, which you can then access. Yes, that's probably about it for today. So I'm happy to open up for any questions. I was going to show a bit of 3D PDF. I might leave that for another day. We're sort of running out of a bit of items, but you can, particularly with IFC files, a lot of people aren't aware that you can just drag an IFC file into a PDF and it will open up a item. What I will do quickly is I'll just do that as a test. I'll just do it as an example, I mean.
Ben, do you want to just explain what an IFC file is?
Yep. So an IFC file is basically it's a universal output that you can get from most engineering backgrounds, most engineering programs, most CAD programs and the like. So it is an open source sort of file. So it's not a Revit model as such. It isn't. It's anything can pretty much spit out an IFC file. So to create a 3D PDF of an IFC file, this won't work with Revit files or anything. So I can select an IFC file and I can simply drag that into my Bluebeam. It will take a little bit of time to go through it. So this is a PDF file that can, an IFC file that can be exported from most engineering programs, including SketchUp, Revit, AutoCAD, ArchiCAD, etc. So you can always get a IFC file out. It is a pretty universal format. So that will take a little bit of time. I can choose it to put it on a custom sheet, whatever, and add views. I'm not going to worry too much, and I'll just bring that straight in. And what this does is produce a 3D PDF. I could spend another half an hour or 45 minutes going on all about 3D PDFs and how they work, etc. It's still loading that model by the looks. There we go. So that's my 3D PDF. I've then got the ability to spin that around, etc. So a good one to use is the spin instead of rotate. And then you can basically spin that around. And you do get all the metadata out as well. So you can see that it's quite a good lightweight sort of print. I probably should have rotated the page size, but Yep. And you can select items off. So if I selected that footing, for instance, if I went in through my 3D data here, I can see that I'll get what that is. So I can see that that's a wall foundation, it's a bearing footing, and it's 600 by 300. So you can get a lot of that data straight out. 300 mil concrete wall foundation, etc. With these beams at the top as well, I can see that that's a 300 UB40. So you're getting all that information out. With IFC files, you don't get a lot of metadata, so you may just get the name. With a Revit file, etc., you will get a heap more data out. An IFC file is it's reasonably dumbed down, but you can get all that data out, and it's quite useful. Like I said, I won't go on too much about 3D PDFs. You can get section views, etc., where you can see the section of that drawing. I didn't really print it out on the best drawing page, but which doesn't help. But if I would have printed it out on a bigger sheet, it would sort of be a bit easier to view. You can flip that direction of that plane as well. So if I actually select that cut plane itself, you can see that it's aligned on the Z plane. I could align that with the Y flipped, which gives me the Y plane. I can also sort of see the rest of the model. So if I wanted to see the rest, showed the clipped area as transparent, then you can still get the model, but see exactly on that view. Yes, we're about done. So there's a couple of questions in where did I get the scale bar from? So yes, with the scale bar, I made that myself. So what you do have is you do have a sketch to scale feature. So these are the orange ones here. So if I went through my tools and went to sketch to scale, then I can actually draw rectangles at scale. So if I select a rectangle here, if I select a point, I can then see I've got a width and a height in there. So I can put in like 2 meters wide and tab and 500 high. And that will actually draw my area to scale. Funnily enough, I just moved, so it probably wasn't the best example. I'll go back and do that again. So 2 meters wide, tab, 500 high, and enter. And that has put in my rectangle at scale. If I measure off now, you will see that that is exactly, you can see here, if I measure off, that'll be 500 and 2 meters. And so I've used that to set up my bar scale. Obviously I did them by a meter, and I went here and changed my line to black. I made the line quite thin because it's not, I do want the line to be accurate. I don't want the width of the line to affect those dimensions. And then I actually put a fill in that of my solid black. And that is how I pretty much made my bar scale. And I then copied that item by holding control down and dragging, and then letting go of control. So I'm sort of moving that, and I can see that it will snap to those items. And then the rest was just plain callouts.
Ben, that scale, is it available to just distribute? Do we have like a symbols library or a Bluebeam library of components and things that we can pass to our clients?
Yes, we do. So thanks for asking, Chris. We do have a whole bunch of ones that we've done. So I've got in here, I've gone through and I've actually done a whole bunch of UB sections. So these will all print at scale. So if I drop those on my drawing, that's my 200 UB. Just for the exercise, I'll drop on a 610. You can see that they are accurate. So again, if I did do my dimension, I'll see that that is 610. So I can use these to start drawing sketches. We've done a couple of presentations before on sketch to scale. It's probably a bit too much of a feature to just cover in the 5 minutes or so we have left. Will Bluebeam be able to import 3D Revit files or 2D Auto? Yes, it can bring in Revit files, etc. If you do have the CAD function, funnily enough, I don't have a Revit file open at the moment, but you can bring in Revit models as well. So you do need to use the exporter. So I think because the IFC is a bit dumbed down, you can just drag it across. It's not quite as complex as a Revit file. If you did bring in a Revit file, you do just need to, like, I don't have Revit open. I might, I'll just open it in the background quickly. You do need to, through your administrator, you do need to come in and basically make sure that you add those plugins for Revit. So make sure that you select so that you do have the Bluebeam plugin for Bluebeam. You can get to that through your review tab and through your administrator. Some IT departments do lock that down a bit, so you may have to speak to your IT to get administrative privileges, but that is where you can do the plugin. Then if you come in through your sample project here, I can come, this is in Revit. If I go into my add-ins, which it's going to take a little bit of time to actually open the project. If I go to add-ins, I will see that I do have Bluebeam add-ins. So I can quickly create my 3D PDF and change the settings, etc. Yep, just got one more question here. How to measure quantity per piece using the polylength tool during markup. So you're asking about my plywood panels. How do I get that number off exactly? Yes, so I do have that as my markups in here. What I could do, I did set them up a little bit sloppily. So I do just have those rectangle sketch to scale here. If I did want to sort of get them by quantity, I could sort of filter those out and then sort of filter by my rectangle. I don't have many in there, so I could get them to go in by that. Then I could get them through the color as well. So filter again by color, maybe. Yeah, I didn't probably set that up exactly. What I can do as well is I can add all these items. I could make a quick legend even if I wanted to, which would give me a count off of those panels. Because I've got it filtered now, obviously it's not, so I'll just clear my filters and there you go. Say 17. Yep. I'll probably take a few more of the other questions. So is there a way to control layers that show when using the publish function? Yes, so if you did want to just send out a particular bunch of layers, that's a good question. Because they will be contained in the PDF. So if you did sort of have layers as such that you sort of wanted your hoarding bloke to see and not your shop front bloke, the easy and quick way to do it would actually be to, what I would do is maybe delete those layers. So that's where I'd come into layers, basically select all, and just actually turn on the ones I wanted, and then I would save that as a new PDF and email to that client. So the layers will hold. So if you had a particular setting, that will hold in the PDF. So if I just turned on the defects, turned off all those, and saved this as, that would retain. So you could show how that you want them to stay. But yeah, if you wanted to do fancy things like not showing the layers will be part of the PDF. Okay, I think that's about it. Thanks for your time this morning. So hopefully you've got a lot out of the session. I'll just do my couple of outro slides. So we've done our that one. So we do provide discovery sessions, rapid starts, office integration. So we can come in. As Chris was saying, we do have a whole bunch of toolbars that we can basically set up for your company. We do have a lot set up, so please reach out and we can supply those. We can do manuals. We can do Blueburst as well, where your company can organize us to basically do a customized webinar for you. So if you really wanted to explore that sketch to scale or something, I can help out and provide one just for your company on anything you want further information on. So please reach out. We've pretty much done the questions. So thank you for attending. Hopefully you've all got a lot out of it. Feel free to reach out to cloud-a2k.com. That's our website, or me personally. I think my email address was in there anyway, which you could probably search through. info@cloud-a2k.com as well, or reach out to Chris or myself. So thank you very much, and hopefully you enjoyed the Lego, whoever is the lucky recipient. And if you can, please take a photo of you receiving it or even playing with it and send that through to us, and we might be able to use that in a marketing thing. Would be much appreciated. Thank you all.
Thanks, Ben. Cheers. Thanks, everyone.